Tanner Houck has the recipe to be a future ace, and I'm going to tell you why on today's Locked On Red Sox.
You are Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am your host, Gabby, former ESPN social media associate and currently the host of the Boston Balling podcast as well. And I am here to bring you the latest in all things Boston Red Sox Monday through Friday, straight to your favorite podcast feed. And want to know the best part? It's free. So since it's free, you might as well take advantage of it, right? You have no reason not to. So start your day off the right way with Locked On Red Sox. Locked On is your team every day. Game off, we got to talk more about Monopoly Go. This fast-paced game lets you team up with your friends for tournaments to unlock awesome prizes like unique stickers for trading, cool playing pieces, and hilarious emojis for taunting your friends. So download Monopoly Go, now free on Google Play or the App Store. Game on. Welcome to another episode of Locked On Red Sox, the show where I like to say your emotions are felt, because if you're anything like me, that means you let a baseball team that plays in Boston determine your mood. And that's very much the case. If this team doesn't play well, I'm in a bad mood. If this team plays well, I'm in a very good mood. My family and friends used to make fun of me for it because I just love Red Sox baseball that much. So if you're looking for somebody who shares the same passion as you do and emotionally feels that same connection, this is the show for you. And the Red Sox were very busy with more roster moves yesterday and more injury news. And today I'm going to be diving a lot into some of those updates on some of those injuries and some of the roster moves. But first, Tanner Houck is somebody who has been pitching very well for the Boston Red Sox this year. Going into the season, the biggest question mark I had was, is Tanner going to be able to pitch competitively once he gets the third time through the order in a different lineup? And last year we saw a lot of him struggling when he got to that point. So the biggest test was going to be, how is he going to stack up when he is seeing offenses a third time and he's not just relying on two pitches to allow him to succeed? And so far he's really closed the door on a lot of doubts that I, as well as some other Red Sox fans, had for him going into the season. His ERA is down to a 160 this year. His last start was against the Cubs. He went 6.2 innings, giving up 4 hits and 1 earned run. He also recorded 9 strikeouts. And he has thrown at least 6 innings in the majority of his starts this season. He did go 5.2 on April 12th against the Angels. So that was close enough to being 6 innings. But prior to this year, it was hard to bank on him getting through 5 innings consistently because he struggled when a lineup saw him that third time. So it's definitely a promising sign that he's been able to average about 6 innings per start. He also had that one game that he pitched a complete game, 9 innings, giving up just 3 hits and no runs, and also striking out 9. So he's definitely found a way to elevate his game this year. And the fact that he's been able to eat some more innings has been definitely very good for the Red Sox. And one thing I've noticed about him in terms of his ability this year to record the outs compared to last year is the fact that he's been able to increase some of his percentages. So for example, in 2023, he was averaging 8.41 strikeouts per 9 innings. Now this year so far, he's averaging 9.38 strikeouts per 9 innings. Last year, he had much more of a walk problem. Last year, he was walking about 3.48 batters per 9 innings. This year, he's averaging just 1.14 walks per 9. So he's gained a lot more control this year, and that's something that's allowed him to pitch deeper into games because his pitch count isn't overly high early on in the game because he's not having as much trouble with the walks. And that's something I've really liked to see from him this year. That's a difference maker, is that ability to pitch more effectively to guys and not allow people to get on base as much. He's also not giving up the long ball as much either. In 2023, he gave up 1.19 home runs per 9 innings. This year it's just 0.23 so far. His left on base percentage last year was 68.5%. Now it's 77.1%. So again, all of these numbers to me are screaming he's been more effective and he's been able to figure out ways to use different pitches and pitch types. In 2023, he primarily relied very heavily on his fastball and slider. He pitched his fastball 39.5% of the time last year and his slider 38.5% of the time. He also occasionally used a couple other pitches, but he heavily relied on those two pitches. Now in 2024, he's cut his fastball usage down from 39.5% to 30.4%. And the slider he's using more at 42.3% of the time because it is his best pitch. He's also added a third pitch, a sweeper, that he's been using quite a bit. He's actually been utilizing that 21.1% of the time this year, and it's really benefited him in terms of being a shutdown pitch that he's able to get runners out. And I think that's the biggest difference with him this year that I've seen generally with all of these things that I've talked about is he now has a shutdown pitch. He didn't really have that last year. You could argue his slider is still considered his best pitch, which it absolutely is. But if he was just relying on his slider too much, it was hard for him to really get guys out as effectively and quickly as he wanted to. So now he is learning to have that shutdown pitch that he can change some of the time to not have it just be the slider. So the fact that he's added that sweeper in there that has allowed him to keep batters on their toes has been key for him. Now, moving forward, this is absolutely sustainable, and I truly feel like Tanner Houck is on the fast track to success and on the track of eventually being an ace. He's not there right now. He's starting to pitch like one, but you can't fully put him in the ace category until he does this more consistently. But the biggest reason why I feel like he'll do this consistently now is because he's always had the stuff. His stuff has always been very good. It's just been a matter of finding the best ways to utilize which pitches and figuring out how he can maximize his potential and use his stuff in the best way possible. And now he's at the point where he is starting to use his stuff in the best way possible, and he's mixing it up depending on the hitter, and how to put himself in a position to succeed is dependent on who he's going up against and what pitches he hasn't used as much. And I do credit Andrew Bailey for some of this. I've seen a good amount of growth overall in the pitching staff this year, and that's been very nice to see. So, do I feel like he will have an ERA under 2 all season long? Not necessarily. He might snap back into reality a little bit and get his ERA back over 2. But if he can just generate a few more swings and misses every game, then he will shortly be in that ace conversation. And I do think having that complete game in there shows a lot of his potential of what he can do moving forward, because Tanner Houck was not somebody I would have expected to pitch a complete game because of my concerns with his longevity when it comes to pitching deeper. So you can just tell his plate approach is different. And I think that plate approach that he's taking now has spoken volumes about his ability to get guys out on the mound. So I think he'll keep it up. Can it be ace caliber stuff? Absolutely. I mean, that ERA alone is ace caliber stuff. He just definitely does need to strike out more guys in his outings if he really wants to be in that conversation, which I do think will come with time. But the biggest key to being an ace is being consistent. And I've seen a lot of consistency from him in this first month of the season. So what I'm really looking for from him the rest of the season is, Can he maintain this level of success? Can he continue to vary his pitches in the way that he has been so that it works for him? And can he get into a groove of being able to strike guys out a little bit more, because his walks have been down a lot. So give him some time, and I do think we'll have him in the ace conversation because of the fact that we've seen a lot of consistency this year from him that we haven't seen in years past. So consistency is the biggest thing. Mixing up his pitch resume and what he's using when. Those have been the two biggest things that have popped out to me as reasons why Tanner Houck is cut out to eventually be an ace. So that can definitely happen for sure. We'll just have to keep an eye on it. And coming up, the Red Sox have been busy in terms of roster moves recently. So I'm going to be going over those moves and why they're important next. It's winner take all time in the NBA and NHL, and FanDuel is giving you a shot to bring home a big win of your own. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 to bet on spreads, money lines, player props, and more. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make every playoff shot count. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. My fiance is absolutely obsessed with FanDuel because he wins a lot of money on it. So that can also be you if you utilize it the right way, and they will help guide you through the best bets to make. So check out FanDuel today. All right, game off. We got to pause here to talk more about Monopoly Go. I know what you're saying. Flag on the play. You already talked about that. But there is just so much good stuff in this game. In Monopoly Go, you can team up with friends for timed tournaments where you work together to build up each other's boards. The more you win together, the more awesome prizes you unlock. And there's so much to get. Unique stickers you can trade with friends to complete albums for big prizes. Cool new playing pieces to travel the boards with. Hilarious emojis for taunting friends when you smash their buildings or heist their vaults. Plus, Monopoly Go feels new and exciting every day with constantly changing tournaments and challenges. A ton include their own unique mini games like digging for treasure or a robot pachinko machine. And there's always new timed events that help you win big, like massive multipliers for everything you win or rent frenzies. There's always something fun to discover in Monopoly Go, so get off the bench and go download it now free on Google Play or the App Store. Game on! I have a friend who loves video games and loves playing them. So if that's anything like you will have an absolute blast with Monopoly Go, and I enjoy going back and forth with people. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? Have to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports today. A free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, and news. Streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Locked On Sports Today is a great way for you to make sure you're staying caught up in all things going on in sports all the time. So head to Locked On Sports Today. The Boston Red Sox have been busy making roster moves on Wednesday. A couple players who are going to fill in for spots now that the Red Sox are just continuing with the injury woes. And the latest injury update is on Masataka Yoshida, as he is added to the injured list. He injured his hand on Sunday against the Cubs during an at-bat. He was eventually pulled from that game in the 6th inning and replaced by Rob Refsnyder. He had struggled to find consistent playing time before the injury, literally going an entire week without making a start at one point, and that was primarily due to the fact that Tyler O'Neill and Rafael Devers were coming back from their injuries, so they were each DHing for a few games before playing their positions again. So Masa kind of got the short end of the stick there and didn't get to play for a while, but now he's headed to the injured list. So, I mean, of course, just add to what's been a lot of injuries already for the Red Sox this year. Why are we having all these problems? I mean, it's seems like the Red Sox just have so many injuries and it's kind of crazy, but there was a contingency plan in place. The Red Sox did acquire Zack Short, which is a player who there definitely are a little bit of concerns about offensively. They got him from the Mets for cash considerations. So basically, he was a player who doesn't really have a lot of things going for him offensively, but can play a lot of infield positions. He's 28 years old. He's played in 187 games in his major league career. He has a career batting average of 172 with 13 home runs and 55 RBIs, most recently appearing in a game on April 21st before being DFA'd by the Mets several days later on the 26th. That's why the Red Sox only had to give up cash considerations for him. He's now in his fourth MLB season and was originally drafted by the Cubs in the 17th round in 2016. He was then traded to the Tigers in 2020 for Cameron Maybin, and the Mets claimed him off waivers in November 2023. What's the catch with him? He can play a lot of infield positions, such as second base, shortstop, and third base. So he will primarily be used as a periodic utility player. He'll be kind of in the role Pablo Reyes had before he was DFA'd. So the Red Sox are just hoping that he can be a little bit more productive than Pablo Reyes was. He is expected to join the team today, actually. So he'll likely be starting and be in the lineup. There will have to be a corresponding roster move. The 40-man roster is now full, so he'll be activated, and there will be an interesting scenario as to who gets either sent down to AAA or DFA'd. So he's a player that, yes, won't be the most offensively productive, but he can be productive in terms of his ability to be thrown into different infield slots. And for a team that has dealt with as many injuries as they have, that could be very beneficial for the Red Sox moving forward. The Red Sox also made another move and signed free agent Dominic Smith, who is likely going to be on the roster to take Yoshida's place since he is now on the IL. Now, Dom Smith is an interesting player. He actually had opted out of a deal with the Rays to sign with the Red Sox and was granted a release after he triggered an opt-out in his minor league deal because a big league opportunity with the Red Sox arose. So then they ended up acquiring him because of Tristan Casas being on the IL for an extended period of time. Basically, this move solidifies that the Red Sox can kind of platoon between Smith and Garrett Cooper at first base until Casas does come back. So this all but says that they are pretty much over Bobby Dahlbeck for reasons that make a lot of sense. He has just not been able to perform, has not been able to figure it out at the plate. So the Red Sox seem to indicate that they'll probably send him back down to Worcester. Through 29 games and 81 plate appearances with the Rays AAA affiliate, Smith had posted a .263 batting average, .337 on base percentage, and .375 slugging with a pair of homers and 3 doubles. He struck out in an uncharacteristic 29.2% of his plate appearances, but strikeouts typically haven't been a glaring concern for him because he's usually only fanned in 21.7% of his nearly 2,000 MLB plate appearances. So that could just be a weird fluke thing, but I'm not too concerned about him generating a lot of swings and misses as the season goes on. He was a first-round pick, longtime top prospect, and a quality run producer for the Mets prior to being non-tendered in the 2022-23 offseason. From 2019 to 20, he treated the Mets to a stellar stat line of a .299 batting average, .366 on base percentage, and .571 slugging in 396 trips to the plate. He swatted 21 homers and connected on 31 doubles in that time before stumbling to a .643 OPS over his next 2 seasons and being cut loose. He then did sign with the Nationals in the 2022-23 offseason, but posted just a .254 batting average, .326 on base percentage, and .366 slugging with a dozen homers. So I'm definitely looking for consistency from him. I'm hoping for him to be able to put together some nice at-bats at the plate. He's not going to be a star on this Boston Red Sox team by any means, but he could end up being a decent replacement because the Red Sox are facing these injuries. So the expectation is that he'll take Yoshida's place on the roster while he's on the IL. And then eventually, when people start coming back, they're going to have to send people down or DFA people. So that's just going to depend on who is performing when that time comes and who's not, because there are definitely players who are close to returning. And the Red Sox need to start to keep that in mind, but expect a little bit of a platoon between Dominic Smith and Garrett Cooper at first base in the interim until Casas comes back. Obviously not the most ideal situation, but the Red Sox have made it pretty clear in their actions that they don't really want to go out and trade for some huge, expensive, costly player. So they're trying to make ends meet with what they can do. So we'll see how this pans out for Boston, but hopefully Tristan Casas can come back later in the season and we can start to see some consistency again at first base, because this team really will miss him, and I was looking forward to the big season he was going to have, so hopefully he can come back sooner rather than later. But coming up, there are some positive updates on some injuries to this Red Sox team. So coming up, I'm going to be giving you an update on those, and you definitely won't want to miss it. If you're looking for a fun way to play daily fantasy sports, PrizePicks absolutely is the place for you. PrizePicks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 3 million members. It's the easiest and most exciting way to get in on the action while you watch your favorite sports and players. You just pick more or less on 2 or more player stats and watch the winnings roll in. Spring training is over and baseball's season is officially underway. Don't miss your chance to add your favorite players from the diamond in your PrizePicks entries. Whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, or first inning runs, take your pick of more or less and add them to your PrizePicks entry today. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types are what make PrizePicks the #1 fantasy sports app. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. That's a first deposit match up to $100 if you download the app and use code LOCKEDONMLB. Fantasy sports are so much fun, and PrizePicks will absolutely guide you in the right direction. So check it out today. And also check out Locked On Sports today, as we have launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. And now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV in the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports today, now available on the free Fire TV channels app. Yes, I said it's free, and yes, I said it's the first ever thing of this type. We are the only network to have a 24/7 streaming channel. So no matter what time zone you're in, if you're looking to stay caught up in all things going on in sports, Locked On Sports today with all of our talented Locked On hosts has you covered. Next week, I will be starting a 10-week series, which is the anniversary of the 2004 Boston Red Sox in that 20-year mark. So every Thursday for the next 10 weeks, starting next Thursday, you can expect an episode that has to do in some capacity with the 2004 World Series team on this 20-year anniversary season. And be on the lookout for some cool guests that you definitely won't want to miss. So that starts next Thursday, May 9th. So make sure that you are tuning in with me every Thursday starting then. The Red Sox have given some injury updates, and they might be very promising. They are targeting this Friday for Vaughn Grisham's debut. He is fully recovered from his injury at this point, but now he has the flu, so they're waiting for him to get over that. So likely tomorrow we could see him in the Red Sox lineup, which is very exciting. They also gave an update on Nick Pivetta. He will be pitching today in Worcester, so that's very exciting. So he's likely close to his return. Brayan Bello is likely to pitch in a rehab start on Tuesday as he continues to ramp up his baseball activity. So hopefully that means he'll be back relatively soon too. And Romy Gonzalez, who's also injured, will likely go on a rehab assignment today as well. With Brayan Bello, the Red Sox placed him on the 15-day injured list on April 24th. He started on opening day and has a 3.04 ERA right now in 5 starts this season. Opponents have batted just 2.06 against him. Nick Pivetta's injury was an elbow flexor strain. He threw a simulated game of approximately 50 pitches this past Saturday, so we'll see how his Worcester start goes today. He'll likely just need one rehab start before he's ready to return, which is great news. So we'll likely see him back in the rotation soon. The 31-year-old righty has allowed 1 run, 1 walk, and 8 hits while striking out 13 in 11 innings over 2 starts this season. He's been absolutely lights out so far. So it's exciting to know that he's going to be coming back soon. Garrett Whitlock, who is dealing with a left oblique strain, has played catch but still has not thrown off a mound. He has to just keep his arm moving. He's starting to feel better, but he is a little bit further along, so it's going to take him a little bit longer to come back. Reliever Isaiah Campbell, dealing with right shoulder impingement, has been long tossing, also feeling better, Alex Cora said. He said that the other day was his best day out of the last 2 or 3 weeks, which is definitely promising. But again, another one that is still in the process of trying to get back and get those rehab starts going. Infielder Romy Gonzalez with a wrist sprain is nearing a rehab assignment too. He's likely to go on a rehab assignment either today or tomorrow. So that's very exciting. He's been hitting off the pitching machine, so getting closer as well. Reliever Bryan Mata with a right hamstring strain is scheduled for a live batting practice later this week. And then Yoshida going to the IL. The hope is that he'll only be gone for 10 days and then he can be back, because that would be absolutely huge for the Red Sox. So there are guys who are definitely coming along. And when you think about this Red Sox team right now, it's awesome that they've been winning games with all these injuries, because when you have a lot of backups playing, a lot of times the expectations are not as high. So this Red Sox team with the expectations right now are that they would be losing a lot of games because they don't have their primary guys in there. But the guys who they've been playing have certainly done a good job of keeping things afloat. And that's primarily due to the fact that Wilyer Abreu has gotten on a hot streak at the plate. Cutter Crawford has been pitching out of his mind. Jarren Duran has been having another great season. Tyler O'Neill has been off to a hot start for the Red Sox. So lots of things that are going right for Boston to keep them afloat. So the biggest thing moving forward is going to be, can they maintain this level of success until their guys come back? They don't have to hang on for too much longer, because shortly they're going to be starting to get some of their key pieces back, especially from a starting pitching standpoint. And it's been an absolute miracle that they've been pitching the way that they have. I mean, Cooper Criswell has just been absolutely dominant too since getting his opportunity to join this rotation. And Josh Winkowski is going to continue to start a little bit longer, probably until Pivetta comes back, which likely will only be one more outing. So when Pivetta's back in the rotation, that'll be a game changer for this team for sure. So lots of exciting things to be looking forward to as the next couple of weeks progress in terms of players starting to come back. But can we please just stay healthy? Because of course now there are positive injury updates on some players, and then Masataka Yoshida gets on the injured list. So it's very important that they try to do what they can to stay healthy at this point, because I just cannot afford to read any more news about any more injuries. I don't know about you, but it's getting very tiring and very frustrating that we just want to see our guys perform, and we have not been able to do that yet. So fingers crossed on that. But overall, the outlook right now on this Red Sox team is they can be competitive. They've shown that they can win even when shorthanded and not having all of their main guys. So if they can win now when they have fill-ins, imagine what they can do when they have a fully healthy roster with all of their main guys back. I mean, I'm looking forward to the rest of this season. Remember early on before the season started, I predicted an 83 win season for the Boston Red Sox. I wouldn't be surprised if they surpass that if they keep playing like this. Just got to continue to play good baseball. And I am interested in the upcoming series against the Twins because they have been playing very good baseball lately. So the Red Sox just need to stay focused. And I love how they have this next man up mentality, and they have guys who are stepping in when other guys can't be there to perform and do their job because of the fact that they're on the injured list or they're sitting on the bench. So everybody needs to maintain that attitude of next man up, just kind of like Reese McGuire was talking about when he came on my podcast a couple weeks ago. So hopefully we can be sitting here having some exciting conversations when players do return, and that it's still good things because the Red Sox managed to stay afloat and continue to win games even in their absence. So that would be the ideal scenario. The Red Sox definitely are hungry. They want to win games, and I love that about them. And hopefully they continue to stay focused and stay determined in the way that we as Red Sox fans know that they can, so that we can see a team that we enjoy watching. So, as always, though, you've got to do your part as a Red Sox fan and keep the faith. Go Red Sox, and I will catch you on the flip side.